Okay, hi there, welcome back. Now, today I want to show you how to fit some handlebar grips on a Harley Davidson. This is something that's not as simple as it is on a Japanese bike or on many other bikes. There's a little bit more to it. It's not complex, it's just a little bit of a technique, and the anatomy of the Harley Davidson setup is a little bit different to other bikes. So I'm going to show you how to fit them safely without destroying the old ones or ruining any tools. Welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Okay, just quickly first, I'll show you a couple of things that are different about Harley Davidson grips with the general motorcycle grip system. And this is what you get normally when you buy a pair of rubber grips. These are the ones off the Scrambler. Come on in, pen. And you can see that these have a standard soft, squashy rubber grip. The outer that goes on the top. That's the bit that goes on one end of the bar. That goes on the clutch side. It's just a grip. And that side is for the throttle. It's thinner, has a larger hole down the centre because that slides or fits over the top of the inner plastic tube, the actual throttle twist grip tube. And then that's just the dress outer grip, and that's what you change on most bikes. But on Harley Davidson, on this particular system, with these grips, they've included it. They've actually moulded the rubber grip here into the plastic tube. So what we're changing today is the whole plastic twist grip tube, the whole thing. And that's a very simple way. It is actually easier, because normally changing the twist grip side is the more difficult one. You're going to fight to get it off or cut it off. When you get the new one on, you've got to shave things down. You remember the video we did on fitting the heat grips on the Scrambler? It's a nightmare. You have to modify that tube so you can fit the aftermarket one over the top. This one just swaps out the entire tube. I think it's a far easier and simpler way to do it. Okay, so when you're going to do this, on a Harley Davidson, the way the system works is just slightly different to all the other bikes out there. Wouldn't it be? Nathan?
Yep.
And on that basis, all it is you just have to dismantle a little bit more stuff to get to it. You have to take the switch blocks and the lever clamps off so that you can then get to the grips to remove them. They're just kind of captive underneath the switch blocks. I'll show you in a second. And to take those switch blocks and lever clamps off, you need something called Torx bits. If you've never seen these before, if you're a complete newbie to this kind of modification is a really elementary, early modification. This is the sort of thing that most people do, one of the first upgrades they'll do to their bike. So if you're not a mechanic, you've never seen this kind of thing before, these are Torx bits. The bit meaning that that's the bit that goes in the end, and they are like a little star drive. Very simple. And without these, people often go sticking regular Allen keys in the hole, and an Allen key can strip out the fastener and damage it, which means you've got to drill it out and cause all sorts of problems to get removed. But these are the tools you need. Get yourself a set, little sets of them like this you can buy from tool shops. They're not expensive, and there's no such thing as metric or imperial Torx bits. Torx bits are Torx bits. They are one range of sizes. I'll show you again. You've got on this particular set from T10 up to T40, 15, 20, 25. And now this particular set contains this. What you'll see in many sets is they'll go in 5. So we'll get 10, 15, 20, 25, then it will go to 30 and 40. They often, kits will miss out the T27. Now on a Harley Davidson switch block and bar clamp, that's the T27. It's a very important one because the T27 on your Harley Davidson is a very commonly used Torx bit. It's for these, fits in here, nice and snugly like that. So you get a nice snug fit. And if you make the mistake, I just want to do this as a word to the wise because this is a very common problem. That's a T25. It fits in and it kind of grips, but there's free play in that. So the T25, people will get hold of it, they'll go like that, oh yeah, that fits. They'll give it the bejesus and it minces the bolt out. And then you're in a world of hurt. So a T27, when you're using Torx bits, just make sure that you're using the right size. Keep fitting bigger and bigger ones till you can't get that in there. And that's the big fat one. And Torx bits fit lovely and snug. If it ain't snug, it ain't the right size. Right, let's get them off. Right, first I'm going to come in on this side and do the easier of the two. So it's T27 for that, T25 for the switch blocks. We're going to just loosen these off first. Just crack them both first. Pop that in the end. And just back them out. Now on this, before I do any more, just at this point, just because I've had this before, just grab a big old blanket or a cloth, chuck it over your tank. Mainly because you're using tools in this facility, it feels a bit dodgy now. Quite a convenient little design of your later model Harleys. I'll show you in a second when I get this off. Is this, what they do is put these little plastic washers in that mean when you take these off, the bolts don't fall out. Clever, isn't it? Mm. Right, so once that's out of the way, you've got this off. Once that bar clamp's out of the way, you can see that the bar clamp fits in to this ridge round here. So if you tried to take this off without removing the bar clamp, this gets all awkward and gets hung up. So that's why, first of all, just drop the bar clamp off. The next one is to go down a size for the switch block. So T27 for the bar clamp, T25, Torx 25 for this switch gear. And they're not tight. They're only tiny. Shouldn't be tight at all. One screw on top. Pull it out completely. They don't have the captives on. In underneath, and it's just there on the lip. There we go. Just take that bolt out too. Now hold the clamp together, or hold the switch block together for just a second. And pop that there out of the way. Right. Once you've got this, I'll show you inside here. You can see, as soon as you take this off, can you come in close on that one? In here is a little track, a little groove in this metal casting that accommodates this ridge of the grip. That's why the grips, I've seen people cut these and then try and tear them out, only to realise they've left that piece inside. They've literally taken the brand new grip, cut that ridge off and then slid it on over the top, not realising that that's a part of it. It stops the grip coming off. If you nail the bike in anger, hang on to the bars as the bike pulls away under extreme torque or whatever, they'll never come off. The grips will never cut. And if you've ever had a grip come off, you get it in motocross quite a lot. That's why a lot of race bikes you have to wire the grips on, because if they get water and stuff underneath, or cack or anything, even a little bit of WD-40 you might put on the switch gear, that can work its way under the grip, and if it starts moving around, that can come off, but not on a Harley. It's a really clever design. So we take that off, drop it out of the way. Nothing in there, don't worry, nothing in there is going to come free. That's cool now, that's not going anywhere, and it will hang neatly on its wires. And all we've got now is the bar. So we're going to remove this first, and my little trick has always been just get your fingers on the front and just twist it side to side, and it will come off. You don't need to put any fluid in there or anything. That will just come off. Now, if yours have been, there it is. If yours have been glued on, which is perfectly possible that they might, then in that case you have to get some way of getting them off. And a great way to do it is to get your WD-40 or any form of freeing oil, other products are available, and squirt it up inside. So lift that up, put it up inside, squirt that inside. Once you get some freeing oil in there, give it that way, round and twist it, and you'll work it through. Even that will break the glue in the end, because no glue that's ever put inside a grip is so strong that it can't be broken. If you have to cut the grip, it's a shame, because they're really expensive, and you might as well keep them, especially if you're going to sell the bike. So that's that off. We then take the new one. Again, that had no glue on it. It doesn't need any glue on it. If you choose to put some freeing oil or something in there, get some brake cleaner, clean the residue of oil. If you put WD-40 in there, clean that residue off with some brake cleaner or some other form of solvent so that it's completely bone dry. Now to put them on, all I've ever done in the past is, see if they'll go on dry. Put it on, circular movement. No. You'll tell straight away if it will go on or not. That one won't. Now the reason for it is, this particular grip, unlike many others, it's got this metal ring around it, which is one piece all the way around, it's welded. Now because of that, that's not giving me any distance, so I've got to slide that on. And there is another method. One thing I like to use, where are we? Let's use this. A little bit of brake cleaner. The brake cleaner itself is wet. The physical wetness of it will give you lubrication. But because it's brake cleaner, against rubber, it will dry away and it will give you a sticky finish. So I'm going to spray a little bit down the side there. Just gently. So it comes out the back. Let's see how we get on. There we go. There we are, all the way on. Right, and that's on as far as it can go. Have a look inside. Come on this side, Pen. These have got a hole in the end. Have a little look-see. You can see the bar in there, just feel for it. You can see it. Yeah, you can look down that way, come in down the top. You might be able to just see the bar in there. There it is. So we know we're all the way in, you can sort of feel it. and that's fine. Now what will happen is through the sheer chemistry of brake cleaner, that will dry away and that will stick. That will give me a nice finish. If you really get a problem and it's sliding all over the place, a great substance you can use is hairspray. Isn't that right, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
You stick hairspray down it. Hairspray itself is a form of glue. So you put the hairspray inside the grip, nice and bone dry before you do so. It slides on beautifully, and overnight, for it's 24 hours, that hairspray will do its job. It will set like a glue, and it will stay there nicely. It's not a little trick there. Right, let's put the switch block back on. Here it is. Let me just show you again, up close, man. Straight over the top. Put that little track in that little groove on the switch block. Make sure it's neat in there. And we put the screws back in. Okay. Now again, just a quick one with these. When you're fitting these clamshells or switch blocks, whatever you want to call them, they're two halves around the bar. And what you mustn't have is one half touching, then a big gap this side, or that way. Try and get the two halves equidistant like that. And just look at the gaps either side. There it is. Don't do that too tight until we put this on. Bar clamp back in. Can you pop around the front or the back here, Pen? I need you to have a little look in there. Now just in there is the switch. So making sure that this part of the bar, or this part of the clutch lever, makes contact, this kind of recess around here. This little notch here. This is the little notch. This is the offending notch that will stop you getting this off if you don't remove this. Because that little notch down there goes into that little notch on the bottom of this clamp. So fitting that back in, along with the bar, this wire goes up into the dimple. There's a dimple up underneath there. So it's just a case of using a little bit of jiggery poke, getting it all to fit. Oops. There it is. And then the front cap on. And again, equidistant on the two halves. That's it. Do that up. Just do everything up a little bit at a time till it's all correct and done up neatly. If you do one fastener up tight all the way and then try and do the next one, it's obvious it's going to pull on it. Just do them all up a little bit at a time and everything just goes home nice and snug. There we go. And again, don't lean on them for two reasons. A, they don't come out. They don't need to be wound up really tight. And these little things are quite, the tool is sharp, but the screws can be soft. So don't go steaming on them because you'll just end up mincing the screws and have to replace them. And bigger size, remember. And there we are. So that's the left-hand side done. Quite an easy little trick to fit that. And there she is. Always again, when you've done it, just in case there's any changes, you're checking for this free play. 3mm of free play here on the clutch cable. We haven't changed anything, I haven't done anything to the clutch, so it doesn't have to be done, but just in case. And then finally, you can come around this side now. Let's have a little look inside there, in from this angle. If you can see in there. Just making sure, down a little bit, some light in there, that you're getting that clutch switch with the inside of this lever. Just ensuring that everything you've done in the course of fitting that is correct. So that's the left hand side. It's a little bit more complicated on the right. I'll show you how it's done. Let's have to do the right hand side. Okay, on the right hand side, on the throttle side, there's just one thing that's different. Obviously we're going to change the cables themselves over to the new grip. So you need to just back off the preload on them, or this pre-tension. Your throttle cables on a Harley have these two pre-tensioners here. They give you the exact slack in the lever. So if you're not sure what the slack should be, the first thing to do is check it. Just look at it. You're looking for about, I like about 2 mil, 2 or 3 mil of free grip movement before it starts to play on the cables and pull the throttle open. That ensures that when you shut the throttle, let it go, the actual throttle inside the throttle body, our carburetor, shuts off completely. If that cable's tight and it's pulling, that means there is no correct tick over. Your tick over or idle speed will be affected. So make sure that you can hear the throttle shut off. You get that little bit of free play. The book recommends up to 5mm, which is quite a lot. It's kind of I don't like that. A lot of you might agree if you do your own. I like about 2 or 3 mil. I like it right there, but still have to have that free play. So we're going to back all that free play off now. And all it is a little 3/8 spanner. Back off the jam nut. Take it right the way back. And then collapse. All you're doing is collapsing the cable on itself, the outer. Like that. That should go on its under fingers. It's a bit dry actually. You can hear that's dry, can't you? Mm. Right, so what you've done there, you see, is you've collapsed this cable in on itself, which gives you, as you can see now, masses of free movement. And I'm going to leave the return side as it is, because all you need is some play, just some free play. So I'm going to leave the return side as it is and back it all off completely on the pull side. Right, let's get this open. And if you want to, this has got, again, a little notch in there that holds on to that. These two parts are joined together with a little notch. So just back off the screws on the switch block, just a little bit, probably 2 or 3 turns, so that they're all loose. Then you can get that clamp out without fiddling. And again, this should have captive bolts in it. I think the Harley designed it that way because they know that when you're taking all this apart, it's kind of, you need 3 hands dropping bolts on the floor and whatnot. So again, here we are. They put these little captive plastic washers there, which I think is a real cool idea. Right, so that's freeing out the way. Let's let that sit to one side. Screws out. Okay, inside the clamshell, this time you can't drop that away because the 2 cables are connected. So we've done the throttle cable itself, we've undone the pull cable, which is this side, it's the one that pulls backwards, and that gives us all the slack on this side. So take hold of the cable and then lift that round on itself so you can slip the cable out of its little hole. There it is. Now be careful with these because, as you can see that close up in? That just comes off. So if you just let that go and drop it on the floor, you'll never see that again. It'll disappear into another dimension like they all do. So that will go, that just sits there now. That's the return cable, that won't do anything. Now we've got to take off this one. Same drill, get hold of it, lever it round, carefully lift it out. And then take, just for safety, take the little brass end off. Just put it down. And that's now free, that won't go anywhere. That's now free to do whatever you need. Just let it drop out of the way. Right, so that grip can then just be slid off. Now that, because you can see closely on this, that comes with a removable grip. So you could, if you found the right grips, slide that rubber grip off, because inside there is a rubber tube, just like many others. But these particular aftermarket ones come with their own moulded tube, like I said, and it's great, it's ever so easy. Check inside, give it a feel around for any burrs, pop it on, make sure it all spins freely. Before you go into the trouble of lacing it all up and finding out it's binding, it's fine now. So let's get the cables on, bring this up from underneath. You can see where it goes. Incidentally, this little shoe, this little wheel underneath, if you've never seen this on a Harley, this little wheel screws in and out, and that little shoe, like a little brake shoe in there, that thing, rubs against the underside of this, and it acts as, I don't know, you might call it a cruise control, whatever you like, kind of a lock stop, so if you're long distances, it's quite handy. And because there's nothing physically locking against anything else, it's just friction, if you ever get a panic situation, just shut it off with your hand. They're pretty cool. So you can back that off a little bit, just for now. Now we put this in. The first one I'm going to fit, first of all, I'm going to put the return side on. So take a little brass hammer. You can see how that fits on there. And it's, when you fit them in with the solid side innermost and the slit outwards. That's just the way they were fitted from the factory. So I'll go with that. All I have to do is pop that in, lift the cable up, or turn that round, and then lay the cable in the little groove, baby. And then when that will go down, feed that down inside the cable housing, and you get this one will then come out, all the slack with it. Again, fit the little hammer on the end. There it is. And I'm pulling the throttle open to get myself all the slack. There we are.
A bit fiddly.
It is, but it's in. There we are. So that's all it is lifting the cable up so it drops in and they sit neatly in their little slots, like so. Put the clamp back over, and again, just make sure that the bar here, this plastic flange, sits inside the little track neatly, and that the cable's all neat and nothing's going to trap once you do it up. Put that back on top. And all I'm going to do is just put the screws in that. Let that go, pin, that's right. Need a third pair of hands, don't you?
Yeah.
Just get the threads started on there, you don't have to do them up. There we are. And then got the clamp. Now again, underneath here, underneath you've got a dimple under there, which is for this wiring to sit in, and it's easy to just whack it all together and then pinch the wiring. Once you pinch it, you damage it, you get a short, you get electrical problems. So just make sure when that goes in that that wiring harness goes right inside that little dimple completely. And again here, just quickly if I can, you got a notch here on the clamp which mates into this peg here, and then your brake switch, which is very important, will operate correctly. So it's just a case of using observation. You see it going in the top there, Pen? That little notch.
Yep.
Just going into place. You need the clamshell or this switch block slightly freed off. Feed the wiring in underneath. As you can see, it is a bit three hands. Clamp back on. As you can see, even the factory acknowledges that this is a fiddly job because they put these little plastic clips in to hold the bolts in place for you. Clever Harley Davidson. Now, this is the point where once everything's done up, you can then jiggle and fiddle about and make sure it all mates into place. That's the most important thing. So many people email us and say, oh, I can't get my switch to work, it's all locked up and it won't close. It will work. You just have to get all the 4 fasteners, 3 or 4 threads into their sockets, and then like this, it's all moving, it's all free and jiggling about. That's the point where you make sure the wiring isn't trapped, and then everything slowly, I don't know, even if necessary, half a turn at a time, you can do it all up till it's tight. Right, I'll set the exact height of those in a minute. A reasonable bit of torque on them. And finally the switch gear. There it is. And just listen for the switch, you can hear it click. Right? So that's just making sure that your brake switch is working so that when you ride up the road you've got that brake light coming on, obviously. And there we are. Now the last job, you want to come around the front, Pen? Do you realise we've got all that free play we put in it? Just need to take that out. So again, back, you just push this fastener around, and this extends the outer cable which takes the slack out of the inner. So keep twisting. We didn't adjust that inner one. I backed off the lock nut but didn't adjust it. Right. Till it's about there. And there we are. On the grip itself I've got probably about 3 mil, 2 or 3 mil. Obviously there's a bit of free play in it. But that's still tapping away, showing the throttle's closing properly. And then with the jam nut up. Job done. Now it's quite important with these, as you can see in the past, little bit of rust has developed on this, and that one's a little bit stiff. This one feels a little bit dry. So with all these little rubber gaiters, it doesn't hurt to just lubricate inside them. So pull them up till they're doing their job, and get your WD tube inside, give them a little squirt, and that will just be enough to feed down in there and coat that whole mechanism inside with a bit of WD-40 and stop it from rusting up when the rain gets in. There we are.
Cool.
Right, there we are. That's how easy and simple it is to fit a set of handlebar grips to a Harley Davidson. We have been asked for this video quite a few times and we haven't had the opportunity to do it. We don't make videos straight to order, but when we get asked over and again, I do fancy these grips. I like them a lot. I've always wanted a pair. Had them on a custom bike years ago, so we bought ourselves a pair and we thought we would do this for you. So this has been, hopefully, a nice little how-to to show you how to do it. This is one of the first upgrades that people do, a really simple thing that upgrades a bike and personalises it when people have just bought into it. So it's a good newbie video. We hope it helps a lot of you. One thing's very important, honestly, if you've had all of your controls stripped off and fitted back on, as we have in this video, it's very important to make sure that you've done everything correctly, done everything up properly, everything's done up tightly, all the levers, all the controls work, take it for a little test ride before you go out on it and depend on it. It's very important because your controls are what keep you from hitting the road. So that's the most important thing. Make sure everything's done up properly. These do have a torque setting. Honestly, I just do them wrist tight. If you want to use the torque setting, they're all in your Harley Davidson manual. Anything else, Ben?
That's it, thank you.
There we are. Takes you ride safe, and I'm going to leave you with the new and ever-increasing wall of friends. Enjoy. To Delboy's Garage, and today I'm going to show you something that seems so that again molded to a new tube, so we have to actually change the twist grip tube and swap the cables over as well. Makes it a little bit simpler, less messy. Didn't like it.